Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 22 of the Bandwagon Hockey Podcast. We got some game ones to talk about. Each series underway. It is Wednesday around 6 o'clock Eastern Time as we convene here for our 22nd episode. And each series is at a score of 1-0. Pretty riveting stuff there. How are your math skills? Ryan, what's up, dude? You're feeling a little bit under the weather, you say?
Oh, yes, I am a little bit. I got a bit of a sore throat, and I literally just woke up from a nap like 10 minutes before we hopped on here. So,
Bit of a
it's fighting
stuffy
a little,
nose. It sounds like too.
yeah, a little bit. So I think I'm running through a little bit of a cold, but we'll tough it out here and run through some games because it's been an exciting start to the playoffs.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll keep it short for today. But no, let's run through. So 6 out of 8 of the road, 6 out of 8 of the games were won by the road team, which is kind of wild. Although it is hockey, which is it's such a random and like I don't know, home ice doesn't really matter. Not sure.
Yeah.
But like, is there a particular series that really caught your eye besides Toronto Tampa for the first game?
Well, I think just the biggest surprise to me would be the Seattle Kraken. You want to
Yeah.
start there? I know it's a random place to start, but like that was the
No,
first thing
it's
that kind of popped into my mind.
so that's the thing. That's the thing with like the issue with me. I think I mentioned it on the last pod. My issue with the NHL playoffs is that there's so many games every night in the first round
Right.
that you just lose track of certain series. So I didn't watch a second of this game.
Neither did
Um,
I, but it's the most interesting outcome in my opinion.
yeah, so Grubauer just decided to like go off last night. I think he made
Yeah,
34 saves. 34
yeah,
saves on 35 shots. Um, it seems as though, like, from what I've read, Colorado really dictated the game. Even though they didn't really outshoot them by a terrible amount, they only outshot them 35-30. I think the sort of the way the game went indicates that Colorado controlled a lot more than that. Despite losing 3-1, I still think Colorado takes this series in short order. Maybe it goes 6 games now. I could even see Colorado sort of turning it into a gentleman's sweep, ripping off 4 in a row here. But pretty impressive stuff from Seattle in game one.
yeah. I would not have expected Grubauer to really come in and steal one from the Avalanche. So that if you're the Seattle Kraken, you got to be feeling pretty good about yourself right now. Goaltending has never really been their strength, and to be able to kind of get one off of the defending champs like that must be huge for their confidence. Um, and just like another thing that I noticed too is Tolvanen scored. Like
Yeah.
this guy, I it I will never understand why Nashville just kind of gave up on him, but it is what it
I
is.
mean, it just kind of didn't work out in Nashville, but it's just weird that he wasn't tradable.
Yeah, that too.
It's like you'd think, like, given where his value was at, you'd think maybe someone would have been willing to trade a fourth or a fifth round pick, maybe even like no, probably a fourth rounder. Like you'd think, like a 23-year-old
Mm,
former top prospect just hasn't worked out. Like you'd think a team would have been willing to take again gamble. Oh my god. Um, but maybe it was just a matter of teams were sort of like calling the bluff on Nashville and not willing to trade an asset because they knew they would waive him. So
hmm
Seattle obviously reaping the benefits there. Sneaky, like, I don't know, could he score 20, 25, 30 goals next year? He scored 18 this year despite his super slow start, and I think that's only in 60 games.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, but I think the storyline of the night obviously is Grubauer just completely shutting down Colorado. Pretty
yeah.
hilarious stuff there.
And being on the East Coast here, like it's been a little bit difficult all year to watch some of the later games, and in the playoffs, like it's becoming even more difficult because I want to stay up and watch these, but like I have not seen a second of the late games, so I really want to make sure I try to um watch at least one of these games because I want to see live how the Kraken match up because I don't know. I didn't get to see game one, but now that like I know it's a little bit more competitive than I thought it was maybe going to be, I really want to tune in if possible.
I fell asleep um, in between the second and third period of the Edmonton game one. We'll get to that one.
Mhm.
But then I was at the bar. I went to a bar for the Leafs game, was a little bit late, so I missed the first period, but was super bummed out the fact that it was 3-0 already.
Yeah.
and then stuck around and watched the first period of the Jets and Golden Knights game, but I didn't see any of the Kraken and the of any of the Seattle Colorado game. But yeah, the start times are just so tough
Yeah.
on the East Coast. I mean, it's tough. Like, would you rather have games start at 4 when like you're still at work, or would you rather have games start at 10 when it's like just so late? I don't know.
Yeah, I was in, this is a complete off the storyline of the episode here, but I was in Edmonton for like a weekend last year, and I got to experience the West Coast slotting of sporting events
Yeah,
just for a weekend. Oh, it was glorious. I would
yeah.
so
No, it'd
much
be
rather that.
it'd be pretty sweet. Like coming home from work and all of the 7 o'clock games are on already.
Oh,
It'd
beautiful.
be kind of weird. It'd be weird. It'd be weird for me anyway,
A
and for
little
you
bit.
obviously. Like for
Like,
East Coast people, but once you get out there, it's probably whatever.
yeah, well, like all of the 7 o'clock games starting at 8, and then like no late
Oh, for you,
games.
it's a nightmare
For
out
me,
east. It's a
yeah, yeah,
nightmare.
brutal.
But I just mean like being out west, like having
Yeah,
being in a time zone where I guess I've never experienced this, being in a time zone where the TV schedule doesn't revolve around you. Because let's be like it
right.
revolves around the East Coast,
Hmm.
and it very much does not for the Atlantic Coast or the West Coast.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I think I remember just like that weekend, Ottawa had a game and it was at like 5 or something, and then the late games were
yeah,
at like 7 or 7:30. Like that's perfect.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. Did you watch any of the Winnipeg Vegas game? Because you picked Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, I did. This was actually when I made sure I went back and like watched a few highlights, but no, I did not get to watch any of really the late games in real time just because of how late they start.
Every
How
single
about you?
team that I picked to win the series lost their game on Tuesday, so that was pretty funny. Um, Tampa obviously laying a beat down on Toronto. I don't know. I wasn't really locked into the game because I was at a bar for it.
Mm,
So all of the controversy that I've been seeing on Twitter today, I can't really speak to. I don't know if maybe you could. The one review of a goal where the puck is like that was a really weird review for me because you couldn't really see the goal line in line with the puck because of the buildup of snow that always happens next to the posts.
yeah.
But it looked like it was a goal. I don't know what people were complaining about. It was like on the inside of the posts. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really see that one either. I think I watched do you know at what point of the game that was? Because I think I fell asleep during this one too. But I
I don't
definitely
remember.
I
I
remember
want to.
watching most of the first like 2 periods, I want to say, but I don't remember that one.
I want to say it was in the second period.
Okay. Anyways, like it was just kind of way too difficult to believe that this was happening again. Like
Yeah,
that for the past like 2 months we just watched Tampa Bay in free fall and one of the better Toronto teams we've ever seen, and we get to the playoffs.
at
Like
the
let's do
flip
it.
of a switch, literally just like
Yeah,
that. They just like tamp. Oh, it's
yeah.
unbelievable.
And like they were
Um,
missing Hedman for big stretches of time in the game. A couple others, I think, too, left for throughout the
Turlock.
game. Yeah.
Like I
So
think
it's just
Chernak's out for game 2. Hedman might also be out for game 2.
yeah, playoff playoff bolts is just a different story, and it's fun
It's
to watch.
absurd. It's also embarrassing for Toronto though. Like that's
I
insane. You just get
Yeah,
walked over like that after all this build up and all this time that you've known you were going to be at home against Tampa in game 1. You lay an egg like that.
yeah.
I thought they were going to come back when they made it 3-2. I was actually like, I
I
was,
thought that too.
I was pumped. I was in the bar and it was 3-0. I was bummed out, and then Toronto scored a couple goals. I was like, all right, like here we go. Here comes a good game. And then Tampa just shut it down. Like scored 2 quick goals, went back up 5-2, and just, and then it was, I
I
think it was 7-2, and then it was 7-3. It was like just not even fun to watch. Even
Yeah, I was chatting with one of my buddies who's a Leafs fan after the end of the first, and he was like, "Wash it, screw it, move on to game two." Just like 3-0 down, and I was like, you know what? Like 3-0 isn't Mount Everest anymore with how much
yeah,
scoring is going crazy. So at the second they made it 3-2, I thought for sure we were gonna get like a really fun close game to close out game one. But like you said, Tampa Bay shut that down quick.
did you watch the Boston and Florida game?
I watched, I think, the first period.
Okay, I watched the whole thing, and it was actually insane how well Florida played, and just it never felt like they had a chance in the game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Florida played almost as good as you'd think that they probably could. Like they outshot Boston. They controlled a lot of the play. Matthew Tkachuk was everywhere, and it just didn't seem like Boston. It just nothing Florida could do was even challenging Boston, and Bergeron didn't even play.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too. Like, if you have any chance to really steal games off of the Bruins, it would have been game one, and I think they announced he's out for game two as well. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I almost wonder if Boston in this first round series, if they just sort of like keep him out until they actually think
oh
they
yeah,
need him, because they don't need him to get through this
like
series.
if they lost game one, I would bet that there's a way better chance that he plays in
Yeah,
game two. But because they won it, like they probably realize that they have a bit more leeway here to get him
yeah.
healthy.
I
Whatever.
also wonder if they win game two, if he just sits out game three, even like
Yeah,
just
exactly. Yeah.
like like they truly do not need him in this series.
Yeah. Also, as much as like home ice advantage may not really be a thing in hockey,
Boston,
TD Garden was rocking.
dude,
That was
it
it's
literally
so
sounds like there's 20,000. Like this is gonna sound bad. It sounds like there's 20,000 grown men in the stands. Like it
yeah,
doesn't sound like there's a single kid, a single like it's all like low pitched voices, like screaming.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if you go to a Sens game and you've got the "Go Sens Go" chant, it's like you can tell that half the people there are kids. There's a lot of like female fans with the higher pitched voices doing the cheer as well, and it's not like it's not intimidating. Like Boston's fans are freaking intimidating. Like the "Let's Go Bruins," like it was sick. It was sick.
yeah. It just goes with the whole Boston Bruins. Like, I don't know. I've always had this attitude around the Boston Bruins growing up that they're this big mean team and that their fans have always kind of reflected that. And those chants in the playoffs, it's electrifying to listen to.
It was really cool. I
Yeah.
I was very jealous of the fact that like I'm not a Bruins fan, because it would be
Mm,
such a pump me up moment to see this dominant historic team come
yeah.
out in game one with that fan base and just not even have to pummel a team for people to know that like they're not losing this series no matter what.
Yeah. I agree.
They're not. Like there's literally no like unless like Olmark and Swayman both get injured and they have to use like an AHL
Right.
guy, and then like Pasternak breaks his leg and McAvoy disappears from the face of the earth, like Boston's not losing this series. It's actually insane.
Yeah, I genuinely thought there was a chance that the Panthers might do it, but I don't know. After game one, it's kind of hard to think about
I
that
think it's gonna be a
happening.
sweep. I think it's gonna be a
Yeah,
sweep too.
it might be.
I was thinking and hoping kind of that Matthew Tkachuk could maybe like play some hero puck and steal a game. I
Yeah,
don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know.
no,
And then the big one. Did you watch any of LA Edmonton?
I did not. No,
No way. You fell asleep.
this was the one I woke up and I was well. I think I no, that's wrong. I think I watched like the first like 10 minutes because I saw Edmonton or whenever the first goal was. I saw Edmonton go up. They went up, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I saw that and then I woke up and they had lost. So that was one that was kind of a shocking outcome to me too.
So my timeline for Monday night was I tried to watch. I wanted to watch the LA Edmonton game. I watched
Yeah.
first period. They go up 2-0 relatively quick.
Right.
I texted you. I said, "Is it too late to change my first round pick?
Yeah.
Change it from LA to Edmonton?" And then first period ends 2-0. I can't remember if it was 3-0 or still or 2-1. But after the second period, Edmonton was up 3-1, and like McDavid hadn't really done anything yet. Um, and then I fell asleep at the second intermission because just those 20-minute intermissions where you've got boring Sportsnet analysts talking about shit that you just watched, just not really my favorite thing. So I fall asleep and I wake up to the LA Kings winning the game. Because like what happens is when it switches from the hockey game to like whatever's the regularly scheduled program, like the difference in volume, you
Right.
notice that when you're sleeping, so it wakes you up. So I wake up and I'm like, what happened? And then like the screen's on, so I skip back a minute and I see LA won, and I'm like, what happened? And then I didn't have the energy to check. So in the morning I go look and I'm like, LA scored with 16 seconds left. Like that is so insane. And then scored in overtime.
And
Holy moly.
maybe the biggest shock of the whole like game is that McDavid was held pointless. Like,
Yeah, that
he
too.
goes off on the most craziest, like, historic season that we've seen in like 30 years minimum, and then is completely shut down in game one.
And that's coming off of a playoff run last year in which he had over 2 points a game. I think he had
Yeah.
33 points in 16 games last postseason.
Yeah, so they're gonna have to figure that one out.
I think they will. I think they'll
Yeah, I
come
think
right
so,
back. They're the team I'm probably least worried about. Like I picked LA, but I fully expect Edmonton to take this series. Like they're the team I'm least worried about for teams
Right.
losing their first game that were supposed to win. Like
Yeah.
I like Florida's going to lose their series, but I'm not worried about Florida because I'm expecting them to lose. In terms of like teams that I'm expecting to win, Edmonton's the one I'm least worried about. Does that make sense?
100%. They're my cup,
Okay.
so I get it.
Who would you say that you're most worried about after game one?
Florida, 100%.
No. See, that's just
Okay.
like that's like not the right mindset. Out of the teams that you picked to win that lost, who are you like the most worried about? Because worrying about Florida is pointless because they're going to lose.
I'll go with Dallas.
Dallas,
Yeah.
despite the fact that it went to double overtime, it was like a really tight game.
Yeah, because that was probably the one I was already feeling the least confident about in my pick was Dallas, because I think Minnesota can win that series. And now that they've won game one, I don't know, I like the vibes in Minnesota.
A notable detail about that game is that we were talking about who would be the game one starter for Minnesota. Philip
Right.
Gustafsson, 51 saves on 53 shots for the W.
I did see that. There were so many people on Twitter like discrediting. Like, I didn't really watch any of this game, but there were so many people saying he was just unbelievably lucky. So I don't know where the truth lies in that, but like 53 saves in a double overtime game. Come on, dude, give the dude credit.
Dallas outshot Minnesota 17-6 in the first overtime, and in both overtimes combined, they outshot them 26-12.
That's crazy.
Gustafsson saved them the game. If you're getting 17 shots and you're out shooting your opponent 3-1 in overtime and you don't win, the goalie got you. The goalie got you. And what a fun young goalie matchup in that series, eh? Like Ottinger and Gustafsson. Like that's you never see that. You never see that in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Like you may see like one guy really have his coming out party in the playoffs, like we've seen a couple times. Ottinger did that a few years ago, and then like Murray even further back. But to see two kind of go up against each other and really clash like that, it's pretty cool. Like you never really see young goalies get the confidence like that in the playoffs, so it's fun.
So Devils goaltending kind of got exposed, eh? That was probably the one thing I was most worried about in that series was Vanacek being your starting goaltender.
I also I don't know why I didn't think about this, but almost every single game in that series is going to be a Rangers home game.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Rangers fans in that building.
Were there? Okay, because I didn't actually see. I haven't seen any clips of the game. I don't know why it just didn't hit my Twitter feed, and I didn't watch any of the game because I was watching the Leafs game. And
I watched the first period before I switched to the Leafs, so that's how I knew.
A lot of Rangers, though, eh? A lot of Rangers fans.
Like they were scoring.
That's unfortunate. It makes sense, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Right.
That's
and it made me think about how like I've been taunting Leafs fans here and there, being like, "Oh, if Sens get a series against them here soon, I feel pretty good."
No.
But now I think about, I know, but that's just me trolling Leafs fans, right? But now I think about in my head, if a playoff series were to happen, the CTC is getting taken over, and I don't want that.
No, that's what I meant by like no. Like that's
I don't want that.
Like that's what I meant by no. Like I wasn't talking about like the potential matchup because like I was talking about the crowd. Like the Leafs would dominate that series for the crowd.
Yeah, it's just something, I don't know why I've never really thought about it. Just the same, I'd never really thought about it here. But yeah, it you want to see the home fans show up in the playoffs, so it's
I
unfortunate.
wonder how it was. I wonder how it was 20 years ago when the Leafs and Sens faced each other in like 3 straight playoff
Yeah,
series.
I
I
don't
wonder
know.
how the crowds were back then. I just know that like Sens fans like really shy away from that stuff.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people. I don't know people, but like I've heard a lot of season ticket holders will like not go to Leafs and Habs games because they don't like having all of the opposing fans there. And I'm like, why not? It's so much more fun.
Well, I think that's one valid reason, and the other valid reason is that they can sell their tickets for like way more that they paid for.
That's true. Yeah, you can basically multiply your price by 3 and have
Like you,
a Leafs fan who still
yeah,
justifies it because it's still cheaper than going to Toronto.
like you can pay for like 4 or 5 games technically off of selling like one
That's
ticket
true.
to a Leafs game. Yeah.
That's true. That makes sense. Okay, let's. So we're at. I know you wanted to wrap this thing up. Let's get back on the horse here. What series haven't we talked? We haven't actually talked. Let's touch on Islanders, Canes, and then we'll wrap things up with Leafs and Lightning. Did you watch any of Islanders, Carolina?
Um, I don't remember watching this one live, so I want to say no.
I didn't, and I heard it sucked, and that's kind of expected
I fully expected
because
this series to suck. 100%.
as fun as fun of a team as Carolina is, they're very dump and chase, meat and potatoes hockey. Like it's not entertaining hockey to watch.
Hmm.
And when you combine that with the Islanders trap style of play that I'm pretty sure they still play, even despite it not being no longer being Barry Trotz in town, it's just a recipe for disaster in terms of entertainment value.
Yeah, so that was exactly what I expected from this series. And the one thing I also wanted to point out was that um Antti Raanta got the start.
I'm
I'm
looking at
not
that
sure.
now.
I like I haven't really been following the Hurricanes goaltending situation lately. And I know they have like 3 guys that can go on any given night, but I just expected it to be Freddie Anderson.
I did too, but I also think that Carolina is going to go tandem in the playoffs. Like I don't think they're going to ride a guy. And Ranta had the better numbers during the season.
Oh, okay.
So like Ranta had a 910 save, a 223 goals against. Anderson had a 903 save, 248 goals against.
Okay.
Ranta went 19-3-3 this year,
Cool.
which is pretty sweet. Freddie Anderson went 21-11-1. Kochetkov went 12-7-5. I doubt Kochetkov sees time unless there's an injury. But I definitely see Carolina taking the unorthodox tandem route for the playoffs.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Baranta had kind of that much better stats, so I guess it makes sense.
So it's probably like pick your poison. Either guy is probably gonna be fine, but that would explain why
Also,
Ranta would be the
and
starter.
Anderson has had his struggles in the playoffs before, right?
That's
From
very
going
true.
away. Yeah.
That's very true. Okay, let's wrap things up talking about Tampa and Toronto. Um, I don't really know where to go here. I don't want to talk about the refs because I hate those conversations and they're
Me
boring
too.
and dumb and stupid. Um, and anyone listening to this has probably already heard those ad nauseum today because anyone and everyone in the hockey industry is talking about it. But Toronto looked like shit.
Yeah, it was not good.
Like,
And when they went down 3-0, my first comment to the Leafs fan I was talking to was, "This is where you'll see if Ryan O'Reilly was worth it," and he almost did it.
yeah,
Like his fingerprints was all over the 2 goals that got them back in it. Obviously, he scored the first one, but um, I think the second one he was also like instrumental in drawing a screen in front or something. I'm trying to
mm-hmm.
remember it, but I remember he was like right in the middle of everything. I was like, hell yeah, that's why you have Ryan O'Reilly. Um,
Yeah,
so it was just kind of fun to see him take over a little stretch there and try to drag them back in it because Toronto always seems like they need that emotional leader to the side of their superstars. Like last year, it was Jason Spezza. Like they always need kind of this a character guy to, I don't know, motivate them, which doesn't seem ideal.
No, it's not what you want. You want your guys that are making double-digit $1 million a year to be able to motivate themselves and drive the bus, and it just hasn't
Yeah.
really been the case there. Like
Hmm.
Nylander is
Yeah.
legitimately the best playoff performer out of those big four. Like
100%.
Matthews has a tendency to disappear. He only played 18 minutes last night. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe it's because of how often they were shorthanded. I don't know. Marner played 23 minutes, had 3 points. So,
Hmm.
like, that's good, but it was in a losing effort. So, I'm not sure how much value that really adds.
Also, Samsonov was just
Tavares
awful.
played 14 minutes 40 seconds. Like I don't know what's up there. I wasn't again. I wasn't terribly locked into the game. I probably have better thoughts on game 2 because I plan to actually be sitting at home and watching that game. But just looking at the time on ice for the players, I just thought it was really weird. I thought it was really really weird.
Yeah, I didn't really notice all that, so that is interesting. Like
Like
Tavares only
Justin
getting
Hall
14 minutes is crazy.
Yeah, Tavares getting 14, Matthews being under 18, he was at 1750, Marner
Yeah,
getting
crazy.
23, like, and then, um, like, so not, like, Nola Chari played more minutes than John Tavares, um, Justin Hall played more minutes than Giordano, Morgan Riley, which I understand, and McCabe, like, I just don't really understand what was going on. Like Luke Shen only played 14 minutes. Like that's a guy that you want on the ice in the playoffs, right? Like he's big and nasty.
Hmm.
Like you want him to go cross-check Kucherov in the back. Like that's what you want from a guy like Luke Shen.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they brought in all these like I don't want to say just tough guys because they are better than that, but more more toughness that they had before to try and kind of deal with all that, and it just kind of led to I don't know, it didn't really lead to anything for them other than Michael Bunting being an idiot.
that hits so bad, man.
Brutal. I hate
Like,
him so much.
yeah,
He
I
just
don't.
I don't know. I don't like him in the pest role. I don't think he's very good at it, but
No, he's not good at it, and he does a bad job of it because he does
yeah,
stupid shit.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. He's just too good of a
Drives
player
me
to be
nuts.
doing that.
Drives me
Like
nuts.
even Brad Marchand has really dialed back the pestiness. Like he doesn't take stupid, ridiculous, like flagrant penalties anymore. Really,
Well, that was the thing. Like I read somewhere that like Marchand is up there, if not the most suspended player of like all time.
yeah.
But he's never been suspended in the playoffs. Like he
No,
always knows how to
he dials
toe
it
that
in.
line. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and like I don't know. Toronto's had a couple of these guys now with Nazem Kadri who just don't know the
yeah.
line. Um,
Did you see the Dumba hit?
yeah, yeah.
Which one do you think is worse, the Dumba hit or the Bunting hit?
I think Bunting.
Me too. I didn't. I see the Dumba one's bad, but it doesn't seem like it has the bad intentions of Bunting's.
No, it doesn't. Like
Dumba's was more of like a reverse hit, right? Like
yeah,
you see that all the time.
I think Dumbo was just trying to hit him really hard, and it just happened to be a little high. Like I don't think it was crazy dirty, whereas Bunting's was clearly he was looking to do something.
I'm trying to find a clip of the. Oh, okay, it was not a reverse hit. Hold up, I'm just watching it right now. See, okay, I for whatever reason I thought it was a reverse hit, which you see all the time. It was not.
Hmm.
I still think Bunting's is worse,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I It'd be interesting to see if either guy gets a suspension. I doubt it. If anyone should, it's probably Bunting because the Department of Player Safety probably hates him because the refs hate him. So I don't know.
Well, that's
What
the
do you
thing.
think?
He was supposed to have a hearing today, but I haven't seen any outcome on that. Right? Have you?
I wonder what time it would have been at.
I thought I saw it was supposed to be at 3 Eastern.
Oh, okay. Well, you
Um,
think
yeah, I don't know. Oh, Mark Masters tweeted out today that Matthew Nyes is in a regular sweater ahead of Leafs practice, whereas Michael Bunting was in a gray
yeah, I saw that.
sweater.
I
Interesting. I
saw
didn't notice
that.
that.
I saw that earlier today. I forgot to actually just mention that just now. So I wonder if they're assuming or anticipating Bunting being suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm,
Interesting.
interesting. Okay, so
Do you have a thought on Samsonov before we move on? Because he was just not good.
he's just not good. I wouldn't switch anything. I would not put Matt Murray in.
Well, I don't think he's even healthy.
That too. I think it'd be Joseph Wool
Like
because
it's just
Joseph Wool was the
Wall.
backup yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So never, not even like I just go with Samsonov. Keep going with Samsonov.
You
If
have to. Yeah,
like he had a great year. It's
yeah.
just a
He
shit
did.
game, and like everyone else had a shit game. So I don't know why people would be talking. Like no one's saying to take anyone else out of the lineup. So why take Samsonov out of the lineup? You know.
Yeah, I don't know. Toronto is. Imagine getting back to that point and then the goaltending fails you again after it's been good all year. Like that wasn't the only thing that went wrong, but it was a big part of it.
Yeah, it was for sure. Campbell sort of like just lost it in the
Mm,
playoffs. Like I think he gave them like sub 900 goaltending in the playoffs last year, and it still went
yeah.
to Game 7, something like that. I think that kind of rings a bell.
Mm,
Um, Tr- Toronto's always been a team though that just needs average goaltending.
yeah,
They
literally.
just need average goaltending, and for all of like Tampa's greatness, like I'm not gonna lie, over the years, like if they had only had average goaltending, they probably don't succeed as much, right?
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Toronto, like if you put Vasil, although you can probably say this about any team, but if you give Toronto Vasilevsky goaltending, like they win a cup. But they're not built that way. They don't have that goalie, and so they're a team that needs to get average goaltending from below market players. So that's kind of their fatal flaw with their roster construction. They get it. They've gotten it the last few years during the regular season, depending on how you look at Jack Campbell's 21-22 season, which was like a tale of two halves. But just if Toronto can get 905, 910 save percentages out of their goalies, like they'll be fine, and they just never get that in the playoffs
Hmm. Let
because
me.
like you're going up against the like the trump card in the league. Like Vasilevsky is like, oh, you have this great roster. Oh, well, we have this guy named Andre Vasilevsky who is like the greatest goalie of this generation already, and like he'll beat you. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it truly doesn't matter. Like he's gonna win one of those games at least on his own. So
That's the thing.
really
You
can't
can
count for
basically
that.
chalk up 2 games to Vasilevsky,
Yeah,
which is why like you can already almost pencil this game in for 7 games now because like Vasilevsky didn't even steal that game yesterday. Like he didn't play
yeah,
that great. He gave up 3 goals. Like you can probably bank a shutout and another game where he saves like 35 shots on like 35 out of like 36 or something just to like
yeah.
beat you 2-1, something like
I'll
that.
be I'll be very curious to see how the Leafs bounce back because if they lose game two, I think this is over.
Oh, 100%. I think if they lose game 2, it ends up being a sweep. Like, I think Tampa will want to embarrass this team.
I think so too. Like after
So,
all of the commentary leading up to it, Tampa Bay just wants to end it.
after all of the is Tampa done? Are they
Yeah.
slow? Are they out of energy? And they come out and sweep this team? Holy crap.
Like what are
That'd be
the odds
insane.
that they literally threw it in cruise control and we're like, we literally don't care for the final two
Yeah.
seasons and I don't know, it's just so cool that that's a
It
mentality of a team. I don't know, I love it.
it's very cool.
Like they're
Like
playing mind
again,
games. I don't know if you missed the start of the game, but Cooper started with one line against the Matthews line, I think it was, because Keefe gets last change, but then once the puck dropped, he changed it right away, like
yeah.
immediately, and he was doing little things like that
Yeah.
throughout the game too. Um, so
That's the
the
other thing
tactics
is
that they're
this
using, it's next level. It's next
Keefe
level.
doesn't hold a candle to John
No,
Cooper. Not
no,
even close.
nobody really does. Like
No.
he's a top coach in the league for the reason.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, you got anything else, or are we gonna wrap this thing up?
I think that is all. I'm not sure if we mentioned or if the Calgary GM stuff happened last time we were on, but we can maybe mention that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Treliving and Calgary agreed to part ways. I don't really know what else to say. Like Treliving kind of did his duty, I guess. Like he did what he
Mm,
could, and it just didn't really work this year. So maybe it's one of those things where I don't know.
I just hope that they clear out the coach too. Like, I hope this means
that's the thing, and apparently that was the big deal, is that they had given Sutter the extension and they weren't willing to pay 2 coaches. So Treliving was like, I can't work with him anymore, because apparently Sutter and Treliving really butted heads. And like, I would too if I pulled off the trade of the century and now it looks like shit on me because Huberdeau had this bad year, which can absolutely be argued was because of his deployment.
Yep.
I'd be pissed off too. And because now it looks like Treliving got fleeced. And at the time, that was not the case. And it's strictly because of how Huberdeau played, and playing, I don't know, 16 minutes a night next to Michael Backlund probably isn't a recipe for success. I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope this means that ownership has not made their decision between the two, and that there's not, like...
I think they did, though.
I know, but how do you bring Sutter back, man?
Because he's got a 2-year contract, and I don't think that franchise is rolling in it or willing to dish it out for 2 coaches.
That's crazy to me.
That's what I think. That's my guess. Because I think if they were to have parted ways with Sutter, I think Treliving would still be there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man.
That's from what I read in 32 Thoughts.
Yeah, he also just had an expiring contract, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think... From what Elliot Friedman said in his blog, they offered 2-year extensions to both guys. Treliving punted. He said he wanted to wait and see. Sutter took it. And apparently this year was not good in terms of their cohesion as a GM coach duo. And from my interpretation of what Elliot Friedman said, it was more or less like Sutter or Treliving. And with Treliving, they could just let him walk and hire someone else. With Sutter, they would have had to fire him, hire a new coach, and all of a sudden you're paying 2 coaches for the next 2 years.
Right.
And I think Sutter's making more than 4. I think Sutter's making more than $4 million. So it's a tough sell.
That is a tough one.
Yeah. And then there's some funny comments too about the team needing a new rink. Right. Uyghur's comments.
Uyghur, yeah.
Man, I wonder if he's regretting that extension. I might be.
Like, I'm trying to remember the question that was asked to him too, but it didn't even really have anything to do with it.
No, it did not.
It was like, how did the year go?
Yeah, it was just like, all right,
like, we need a new ring.
We need a new ring. It was so funny. All right, let's hit that outro. We will reconvene on Sunday, which is what? That'll be after a couple game 4s?
Yeah.
Game 4s going on Saturday?
Yeah.
No, game 3s are on Saturday. Because the series were game 1's on Tuesday. So every team will be through 3 games on Sunday. So we'll catch you then.